Alright, bro, let's get straight into it, bro. Dang. I gotta take a shower and brush my teeth, bro. That's pretty much what it is. You know, run. I'm gonna him alone, one of my top songs. Came out of nowhere, bro. And it's the new one. What's it?
album's out.
How to create dope t-shirt designs for a print-on-demand store. Whether you're creating t-shirt designs for clients or for yourself. Hey, what's up? I'm Joel Madden, and this is Artist Friendly. On this episode, I'm talking to Grammy Award nominated, multi-platinum rapper and entrepreneur, Wiz Khalifa. Let's go.
Smoking on gas, I'm smoking on pip, that's my kind. I don't want no bad times, I don't want to have bad.
That's the modern, I think, independent artist is like,
Yep.
they understand the major label distribution,
Yeah.
but the independence of it is like, do the records come back to me?
Right.
And I think the younger artists now understand that, where I didn't actually.
It wasn't set up like that before, to where you could just basically, like you said, license out an album, but not be locked into a 5 or however many album deal. Like
10 records, 5 records.
Yeah.
It was different back then.
Yeah.
But the artist came, because back then, if you were like, I wanna do a license deal,
right?
No one, they would laugh at you.
They'd be like, hell no. Not unless they didn't think you were valuable, because they'd be like, oh, okay, cool, yeah, whatever.
Yeah.
And then, like you said, if you have that cult following and you're able to sell, they're not going to see that, because they're used to having to promote you and put you on that level. But if you're able to do all of that stuff yourself, and they kind of like downplay it, then they would do that back in the day.
What part of your career did you feel like, or do you feel like you figured out how the whole thing works?
It was really when I figured out who my fan base was and figured out how to keep them entertained.
Right.
More than anything. When I would try to make songs for the label, or just, work with situations that other people thought were the best ideas, that never really connected. And it wasn't because it wasn't good stuff. It just didn't connect. It wasn't what was going to put me like at the top. And when I started making music for the people who I knew I was entertaining, then that's what was allowed me to block everything else out and just do what I thought was cool. And that's what took me to the top.
Yeah, because you really do have, it's interesting, you have plenty of charts songs, like most streamed song on YouTube, or this or that. But you have, I would say, like, that's like one aspect of your catalog.
Yeah.
Is like, there's hit songs.
Right.
But then there's a whole other aspect to your catalog that if you go to your show, you see the songs that everybody loves.
Yeah.
They like the hits.
Right.
But then there's fan favorites that feel like it's part of a group of people that have been with you a long time.
Yeah, it's a bigger story to the hits. I think it's just me being able to exercise my talents and my ability. Because if you put me in a position where we're writing a big song, I'm going to do well. But I don't lean on that to be like, I'm the dude who makes hits. I love music and I love what I do and I'm great at what I do. But I'm really, really for my fans, my community, and whatever they say goes.
Yeah, it's like it's a lifestyle brand.
Yeah.
All of it.
Yeah.
I think you do have a way of including in your, so if you go to your Instagram, you're just living your life.
Yeah.
But you found a way to make your life also your job.
Yeah, 100%.
Which is very sustainable.
Yeah. I think I come from like the beginning of the social media era, and that was really what it was all about, is just being yourself and not really having the facade and all of that stuff. So like you said, I'm able to just live my life and that be the brand, which I feel really fortunate and blessed to be able to do that.
Yeah, I mean, I would say almost like you built a model, because it's unsustainable to do some shit that you actually don't really like to do.
Yeah, I mean, all of that stuff, it eventually like comes down, like it crumbles, or you could be successful and not be really happy, and that's not the goal. For my generation, just coming up and seeing the pros and the cons of kind of like portraying stuff that you're not. Like we know how that story ends.
Yeah.
So
you learn that lesson from other people. Really.
Exactly. We watched other people do it, so we kind of like figured out how to spin it. And me personally, you know, just growing up in Pittsburgh, which is like a blue collar town, we don't really have too big of an industry or, you know, anything going on there. So I'm really like level headed with it. You know what I mean? And that's always been my angle, is being relatable. You know? And it's like, when you see me, I got jewelry on and shit like that. So now it's like, okay, maybe I might not be able to get to that level. But yeah, I started out where you are. Now I smoke pounds of weed. Like, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So it's like, at the end of the day, I'm just trying to show people, like, you can, not show people, but be an example of, you know, being yourself, being happy, being healthy, sticking to the things that you love and the people around you. Because everybody still sees me with the same team as well, and they see me with from before, you know, that I started with.
Yeah.
And that's all part of the story, is, you know, just staying down so you can come up.
My perception of you, and we've known each other from around.
Yeah.
But my perception of you was always working class, real roots. Like your team has been with you forever.
Yep.
You care about Pittsburgh.
Yep.
It's like, it's evident in everything you do. Even the jewelry and stuff, I would say, is more of an aspirational kind of, it's not even like a flex. It's like it's a bit more of the rock star thing where like, well, what do you expect? Like, it's cool. It's like, it's also tasteful and cool. You know what I mean? Like there's some style to it. Whereas sometimes you could see someone who just bought the jewelry because they thought they were supposed to buy the jewelry. And it's like, who picked that for you?
Right.
Versus someone who has a bit of taste or design with how they put it together.
Right.
But I think there's aspiration versus kind of, I'm just spending the money how I think I'm supposed to spend it because this is what everybody else has. I've always found you somehow, and I don't even just say in hip hop, but in entertainment at large, I've always found like you have always existed in your own like corner.
Yeah.
It's interesting.
I do, and I think it just has a lot to do with how I came up and the time that I came up. Because when we first met, I was on Warner.
Yeah.
And, you know, they were kind of shopping me around based off of a single and things like that. And there was no way to really know where I was going to end up from those days. But after that, like immediately after that, is when I was able to like just lock in and just find my own critics, like people whose opinion that I cared about way more than anything else. And as soon as I started doing that and releasing music at my own pace, whether it was a mixtape, an album, a video, or whatever it is, I started to develop a confidence where I was like, I know what's up, like, you know what I mean? And that allowed me to really, like you said, build that corner, that world, to where I could just create from there and not really be distracted at all. And even if I want to take a little break or take my foot off the gas, or I'm trying different things, I do all of these things with confidence and knowing that, you know, the people who I'm reaching out to, they're going to understand it and they're going to get it. And, you know, everything comes from that. There's been a lot of opportunities that I couldn't have planned myself, whereas like, I don't take credit for everything, like, yo, I know this, I know that, but I am always ready for any situation, just based off of being really, really sensitive to, you know, my crowd, and just having a genuine love for what I do and love for the people that I do it for. Like, that's my inspiration. It's not the money, it's not #1 hits, it's not, you know, awards or anything. Like when I got my first #1, I didn't even know what that whole process was. I was just having a good time, having fun. So a lot of the stuff that happens to me, I realize that it's the energy that I put out. So I just keep putting out great energy.
Yeah, it's kind of, I see it as the like great example of to find what it means to be yourself. And actually just double down on that every time. I'm gonna double down on how I feel, my intuition. Opportunity comes when we go forward. So I'm just going to keep going forward, doing what I think I should do. And you really do, you strike me as that a guy who's just doing what he thinks. At any given moment, you're doing what you feel.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm not scared, you know? I'll try some stuff too.
Yeah.
But that's how we figure out like whose opinion is the most
What
valuable.
matters.
Yeah.
And then it's funny because then you have your life that's, let's say it's like your work life, right? You gotta go, whether it's the music you're making or you're touring or, I mean, you have a lot of shit going on. I want to know more about the MMA and the fighting because I think that's like one of the coolest aspects of you.
Thank you.
Because you're a very chill guy, but you also train and like I know you could like fuck somebody up.
If I had to.
Yeah, if you had to. Not that you want to. But then you also have your real life. In the, not to say that's not real life, but then you have fatherhood. And you gotta, and that's a whole other aspect of life that I didn't know about until I was touring for 15 years and then I had my kids. And then it opened up another, almost like a whole side of the house I didn't know existed. And I had to find the balance between who I am out here to the world or whoever, and then who I am at home with these people who they think it's cool what I do, but they don't really give a fuck.
Right.
Especially if it takes me away from them too much.
Right.
So I'm always trying to find the balance of like how much I let that impose on, you know, the relationship I'm trying to have with my kids, because my relationship with my parents was it was broken. So it was very important to me that I like knew my kids.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Definitely.
And I know you are a very, super engaged father because I've seen you around. Because I think our kids went to school. Our kids went to the same school at some point.
Lower school.
Yeah. And then I saw you in Little League. So you're in it.
Yeah.
How do those two worlds mix?
I'm trying to think of like a cool answer, but there is none.
Yeah.
I think like
That's
just
honest.
I think just being passionate about both.
Yeah.
I had to learn to sacrifice on both ends. There was a time where I would be in the studio all the time and like, you know, I would get anxiety if I didn't go to the studio.
Yeah.
But having my kid let me know it's all right to not go to the studio some days, or it's okay to plan it where, you know, maybe a week you might be heavy in the studio and in a week there's no studio, you know what I mean? So it's like preparing for those things. And then there's times where I feel guilty for being away.
Yeah, me too.
You know, like you just don't want to be away. You want to be there for certain things, or you call off as much stuff as you can, but then there's just some stuff where it replaces. You know what I mean? You can't. So I had to give myself grace on both ends and just, you know, kind of not be so hard on myself. The time I know and what my intentions are, and that's the best thing about it as being a good dad, is you care.
Yeah.
And any dad that I meet who's like juggling it or can't really figure out what's going on in between, I'm like, you got the first step down. You care.
Yeah.
Like motherfuckers don't care, yo. Like they'll just go on and put stuff in front of it and be like, I gotta do this. I make excuses. But if you're like tripping and you're like trying to figure it out, that's the first step, is to care. And then you try to take action and you figure out what takes its place and what, you know, what that looks like. But caring is the first part. And I think, you know, the more conscious we are about that, then it all starts to, you know, line up how it wants to. And now I'm at the point where I can work out, tour, go to the studio, make content, hang out with my kids, get him from school, make sure that he's got his work done, make sure his clothes is this. And I got a newborn daughter now.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so I'm putting her to sleep.
Yeah.
You know,
you're back in the
changing
trenches.
diapers. Yeah, exactly. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But it's like, it all happens together. Nothing replaces anything. I'm not losing out on anything. And it's just because I care.
You're articulating something that I thought the same thing for a long time. The first step is that I actually am stressed about this. It just means that I care about how they feel and what experience they're having with me as their dad.
It's a beautiful thing.
And they're actually wiser and stronger than I'm giving them credit for, because when I explain to them I have to leave or go away for a month and we're going to figure it out, maybe I'll fly home on this day off or whatever, they understand it more,
Right.
and they understand what's at stake.
Right.
So I'm also making a living
Yeah.
for their life.
Yeah.
And actually, I think kids who have parents who are trying to balance careers
Mm-hmm.
and they're doing it with them instead of shielding them from it, they understand actually how life works a little bit.
Yeah.
And they're the benefactors of it.
Yeah.
I also think what you hit on caring is actually sounds kind of dumb, but when you tell an artist, all you got to do is care.
Mm-hmm.
Care about that thing more than anything else, and you'll likely have success.
Yeah.
It's kind of the same with raising kids.
Yep.
You just care about it. That's like the greatest song you'll ever be a part of.
Yep.
And if you're lucky, you get to be a character in their story.
Yep.
They have some great story.
Yep.
But I always try to give my kids more credit that they're stronger than like some mistake I could make or
Right.
some day I missed because.
Right.
But finding the balance is always the stressful part.
Mm-hmm.
You know, when you care about what your kids getting out of life.
It'll keep you up at night.
Yeah.
It'll have you questioning a lot of things.
Yeah. That's funny, man. I guess that's the actual struggle of every dad.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like maybe there's some guys out there listening that would say like, oh, it's easy for you guys to say.
Right.
I'm working 50 hours a week at this job I hate and I'm missing bedtime and I'm getting up and leaving before they even get up. But that's the same struggle.
It is.
It's the fact that they care and they miss their kids
Yep.
and they're trying to figure it out
Yep.
makes them a great dad.
Yep.
It's a good point.
Yep.
It's the modern dad though, I think. It's a different generation.
It is a different generation because we're able to tap into that.
Yeah.
Before it was just a dad thing to do, like, up, I'm out.
Yeah. or I put a roof over your head. Like, thanks, Dad.
I'm asleep, get out.
Yeah.
We're like, all right, I worked and I gotta play with my kid.
Yeah.
And I gotta take them somewhere like dope and like I can't just let somebody else do it because I know how much they care about spending the time with me. Like,
Yeah. And you want to.
Yeah, it
wanna
matters.
know 'em.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
freaking like, yeah, that stuff matters. And it makes you feel so much better when you do it too.
Yeah.
Because you dig deep, you're like, man, I gave that shit everything that I could, and I just feel good. Like that's the reward.
It's a good tired.
It is. It's the best.
Yeah.
It's my favorite thing to do. Like, I've already proven myself that I could rock the biggest show and I could do a song and blah, blah, like, you know what I mean? So what do I need to keep running to go prove that to anybody for? I'll do that when it's time to, when it's time to pay a bill or when I plan being creative. It doesn't have to have, it doesn't, you know, my passion for my kids, my family, and just that balance and them depending on you and knowing that you'll be there or knowing that you're not there, but you'll come back.
Yep.
They got to learn all of those lessons. Yep.
It's the greatest one.
Yep. Love the kids.
Yeah, we're lucky we got healthy kids.
Yeah, yep, for
I
sure.
always think about that.
Mm-hmm.
What do you think that part of your life, aside from just balance and figuring out how to make it all work, do you feel like fatherhood has affected your art?
Yeah, I think it affects my art being a father. It doesn't make me like censor my art any. I think fatherhood, like I said, it takes the anxiety away from the art for me because it let me know that I'm more than just an artist.
Yeah.
Yeah, like before I had my kids, like that's all I had was my art, and
it was a lot hinging on that being successful. Every time.
Right, and this is just a new stage of being the same artist, but it's just handling the art differently. So the way that I handle my art in my 20s isn't how I handle my art now. But I'm still the same artist.
Yeah.
And I still create great art, but I just handle it differently. And definitely 100% having children, you know, it changed that. But when I do create, I would just say that to me, it made like longer periods in between like those big moments. And that's not even true because when I was a kid, I worked forever and then it popped off. And then, so you got to work forever again. And so that's just what being an artist is. Yeah, never mind. My kids don't got shit to do with that.
I mean, I think it just makes you, because I think you said it, and I agreed with it when in my head I was like, oh, it just made me give a little bit less of a fuck
Yeah.
what the outcome of that was, because when I go home, that's not who I am, and I forget about it.
Yeah.
And then I wake up the next day and they're like, oh, the song came out and it did this, and you're like, oh, that's cool, great. And then your kid's like, it gives you something else to like. That doesn't define you.
Yeah, it changed me 100% in that
define you anymore.
aspect. Yeah, like I'm not just an artist. Like I'm not just leaning on that. And I was thinking about the time frames of like when I create and like when I feel like I'm in my bag the most. But I'm constantly creating, like regardless. But I don't put so much pressure on that creativity. Like I don't look at everything like this is that moment. Oh, this is everything. One, this is the one right here. Right. Like, I'm not doing that. Like, you know what I mean? I'm like, okay, I like this shit and it's cool. You know what I mean? I'm having a great time doing it, and whatever happens, happens. And I just keep that flow of creativity going until I'm like, oh, okay, now we need to do a tour. We need to do merch. We need to do this. We need to do that. But I'm not looking at everything as if, you know, that's the end all be all when it comes to like the creativity and the art. Like I love my art and I love what I do, but my kids just help me to, you know what I mean? They inspire me more to just, you know what I mean, create just regular shit. Yeah. I don't gotta be crazy or anything like that to be inspired anymore. I look at them, I get happy, I listen to the music that I enjoy while I'm with them, and I think about how that stuff makes me feel. So I'm not really even creating from the same space sometimes. Like I used to be in a strip club, like creating from that space.
Different time, different age. But I do think that that's also just a lifetime of experience where you actually start to see how nature works. Yeah. You know, you've been in the environment so long, you can read the leaves. Yeah. You can tell what weather is coming. Yeah. You know what the different predators are, you know what the different food you can eat in there. You know, like when I think about the music business and music and how that intersects, because we do just make art, but then we actually have to go do work. Right. And we have to make decisions that affect the business. Mm-hmm. And any artist that denies that they are not an entrepreneur, that denies they're an entrepreneur is denying themselves. Right. If you are not an entrepreneur in the music business, making a living, making music, you want to deny that you aren't a business person, then you should quit. Right. Because this is a bit of a jungle. Mm-hmm. And the longer you're here, the more you understand how all of it works. Right. And you have these intuitions and these feelings. Mm-hmm. And you see what an opportunity is. You can smell it or see it, or because you've been here long enough. Right. You also know who's full of shit. Mm-hmm. And you move through intuitively. Mm-hmm. Making music is intuitive. Mm-hmm. Deciding when, how, a lot of that's intuitive. But then you also understand what a good plan is versus a bad plan. Right. You also know you need a plan for this thing. Yep. And that's a good business. Yep. And so you have your team and you built out a functional system that works for you. Mm-hmm. And that's why you can scale your business. Otherwise, you wouldn't be rich and famous. Right. You would be trying to make it guy for 20 years, and you know those. God bless them, but they couldn't get it together. And you're like, I wonder why that. Yeah. I wonder why that something's not functioning. Exactly. But the intuitive, adaptable survivors, like we're just like, it's kind of like dogs. Right. Like we just get better, smarter. We smell stronger. Yeah. We know like we can, and we build businesses in this ecosystem of music and art. And also, having a family could have been just intuitive. Yeah. It could have just been us going, we need something else to take us out of, or maybe we're going to kill ourselves. Right. Absolutely. You know what I mean? Absolutely. Maybe we're going to be go off the deep end. Yeah. Because the rock star stuff works in your 20s. Yeah. All that shit, the crazy stuff. Right. And then in your 30s, you start to go like, whoa. Yeah, it's not even appropriate anymore. Can I live this way? Like, no, you can't. Absolutely not. Does good stuff happen after 12 p.m. at a strip club? Bruh, it's the burnout. The burnout is real. What are the chances of the crazy scene happening and I'm there and I get caught up in it and whatever? You start doing the math. Yep. And intuitively, I think we go, I think I need to settle down a little.
I need something to slow me down.
Yeah.
Take me to the next level.
I think about that.
It is. It's crazy because, you know, I had my first son at 25, so I was still figuring it out.
That's young.
Yeah, it is young. And there's a ton of stuff that I did when he was a baby that I would never do now, but I was in my 20s, so I didn't know no better.
Same.
So I was like, you know, I don't regret it, but I just know how much he helped me level up. Because just thinking about that and knowing like, wow, okay, this is growth. And it's because of him. And it's because I want to be a good human being.
Yeah.
And I'm not like, you know, worried about anything else. So, you know, that's like you said, that's what takes you to that level of sustainability, what you can sustain, what you can be doing for the rest of your life. That Rockstar 20 shit it's not gonna last for your whole life. A lot of people try to do it, but their bodies just start caving in, and it's not, they don't feel good.
And they don't look good after a certain age.
Yeah, it's like you can tell who's doing it too long and too much. And then they show up at the party and everybody shows them love, but it's like, dude's kind of cooked, like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, so we don't even want to reach that point. And you get signs, and then like you said, having a family, like, you know, in the back of your brain, you're definitely telling yourself like, dude, this is where it's at. You don't necessarily have to slow everything down and stop, but this is what's going to take you to the next level of sustainability of what you're going to be able to do for the rest of your life.
Yeah, it's like finding the balance with each era, phase, level. But I would almost like, I'm sitting here and I've always respected your career, and I've always been a fan, and you've always been one of those people. Whenever I've seen you around, the way you carry yourself,
Thank you.
I just have a lot of respect.
Thank you.
Because I've been around a long time, and I've gotten to see it all.
Mm-hmm.
So I've gotten to kind of make my own judgments on like what I personally respect or admire, and how certain people roll, and how they move through the world.
For sure.
And just as an observer, watching you build a career and with your catalog, the things you do entrepreneurially, the different brands you have, it's all true to you. There's some kind of vibe to it that feels inviting, it's got a friendliness to it. And then getting to see you around with your kids, and then hearing people, right? Oh, he's the nicest guy, or he was my kid's on the team with him, or this. Like, that stuff actually, to me, it matters. When I always tell my kids, when we're at a restaurant, how do we treat the person that's serving us our food, right? Because I don't know if they grew up on my music, or even if they just know who I am. How we treat them is going to resonate for years in the stories they tell about our family. And whether you wanted to be born in this family or not, you were born in it. And how we behave is you're representing me, I'm representing you. So if I was out there and embarrassing you, or vice versa, neither one of us win, and neither one of us will appreciate that. And we gotta have some self-respect. And we gotta care about people. It's not that we give a fuck so much that we're gonna behave in a way we wouldn't. But we do care about people's opinions of us as people.
Yeah, for sure.
And like, I watch how people roll. And I just make my own decisions, and I go, I fuck with that guy.
Hell yeah.
And that you're one of those guys that I've always thought, man, I fuck with that guy.
Good look, yeah.
I mean, that's not always the case.
It's not. It really isn't.
And I feel bad when someone doesn't get it. I think like
that's why I tell my kid, because he's at that age where he's like, you know, he likes to joke and shit like that. And
how old is he?
He's 11.
Okay, yeah, it's when it starts. Like, my son's 15.
Oh yeah.
But they start
being cool at 15.
Yeah.
You know? I remember I was worried about being cool. He's cool as hell.
Yeah.
But he's still like figuring it out. And I'm like, you know, you're privileged. You got a lot going on, and you're a charismatic dude. I'm like, there's a difference between being funny and being an asshole.
Right.
Like, there's enough assholes out there. Like, you know what I'm saying? So, and I live by it. Whereas, like, my job during the day, and not even my job, but I'm here to be a blessing in somebody's life.
Yeah.
So if I come in contact with you, I'm gonna make you feel good. I'm not gonna make you feel bad. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, I did my job. I'm good. And I rub off on him and let him know it's a choice. It's a conscious decision to be, you know, a blessing. Don't be a pushover or anything like that. You know the difference between somebody trying to get out on you, but just regular, any old time, you know what I mean? It doesn't take a lot. Just manners. Hey, how you doing? How's your day? How you feeling? Thank you. I appreciate that. You know what I mean? Just the little stuff. And then, okay, now you add on, you're somebody who people look up to. Like, now it's even better because they expect you to be an asshole. They expect you to be entitled or whatever. And you just show them the exact opposite. You show them how down to earth and cool you are. And that's way better. That's a way better, you know, interaction with people, no matter who it is.
It's weird having to have that conversation with your kid.
Yeah.
Same thing. I had to tell my kids, I'm like, they're either going to know who you are or they're going to find out.
Yeah.
Because your parents.
Right.
So your mom is, you know, she's famous. It's usually about her. It's usually like I'm like the sweetener. I'm the bonus. I'm like, oh, he's in the bed. But like, they're either going to know you coming in. They're going to have a perception of you because your mom is so-and-so.
Right.
Or you're going to get there and they're going to find out. And so, exact same conversation. Don't be a pushover. Have self-respect, but be a nice surprise for people because the world that we live in, most people expect you to be an asshole.
Right.
And you're not.
Right.
And so, you don't have to put your guard up.
Yeah.
Don't be a pushover. You got to be aware of that because it's the same thing with boys. They're joking around, whatever. And for me, I don't know why, but it's nothing like growing up. I've changed my mind now because I understand like none of us choose to be born in the families we're born in. But I used to have like a real chip on my shoulder with like he's a rich kid, like he grew up rich, and I had a major judgment, and that's just not the case.
Right.
But you don't want to be the stereotype.
Hell no.
And I tell my kids that all the time. I'm like,
for sure.
And I think they listen.
They'll get it.
So they'll get it eventually.
They'll get it.
Yeah.
They'll get it. I mean, I think like because when you genuinely want to be cool, that's what you're gonna do. Like you're gonna get pushed and pulled in a lot of different directions, and you're gonna try to impress your friends, and you're gonna try to, you know what I mean?
You have your moments.
Yeah, you have your little moments and shit, but that's how you learn. Like sometimes you go a little overboard, but you have to be able to be brought back. That's why I look at him growing up a lot different than how we grew up, because we would get punished immediately.
Big time.
Like if you did some fucked up shit, it's like, yeah, exactly. There's no like, what? How the fuck? Why would you even do that? But now we look at our kids like, okay, it's okay to make a mistake because you're learning.
And especially like a little mistake. I would get spanked. I would get like the belt for like
anything.
like what level of lying? With my kids, I'm like, nah.
You understand?
People lie.
Yeah.
You're scared. You're gonna lie.
Boom. Bro, our parents wasn't saying
Okay, my parents were like,
none
did
of
you eat that? And I'm like, no. Like with chocolate on my face.
You don't even know why you lied.
Exactly. No. But do you think that the guy that you are, that I perceive and that I've experienced in the music industry now for decades, long ass time, 2 decades almost, and from when you started to now, definitely, do you think that your view is because of you like growing up in a working class place? Do you think that informed how you appreciate what you have? And every time I've been around you, and we played that show with you, and it's a good vibe.
Hell yeah.
Everybody's good.
Yeah.
And you actually are checking on people, and everybody's good.
Yep.
That's a different experience than a lot of big entertainers. I've experienced much more guarded. Much more closed off.
Yeah, I don't rock
Cruise.
like that. Yeah, I don't rock like that.
Is that just your growing up?
I wouldn't even say that it's my growing up, because I feel like everybody has a choice.
Yeah.
You know, and like I moved around a lot, and I lived in Pittsburgh. That's where I identify the most with, because that's where I'm from, my family is from. But I've always just had my own thing just as a human being, where I had a choice, where my environment wasn't really what I was going to become. So even being in Hollywood and being, successful and things like that, I'm not going to become
Right.
what the norm of that is. Like, I'm still gonna be me. Like, I always was just me. Even when I was hanging out in the streets and there was a lot of people doing a lot of things that I wasn't into doing.
Right.
That's why I made music, because I was like, I'm me, dog. Like, I can't I can't act like y'all. I can hang out with y'all, but I can't act like y'all. You know what I'm saying? And it translates through a lot of different things in life. Like, I want to see everybody do well, so I don't put people down, and I don't, you know what I mean? Yeah. I got crackheads and thieves and, you know, killers. You know what I'm saying? Like, but I'm not that. That's not what I am. I smoke weed, I make music, and I found my little things that make me really, really happy, and that's what I'm into, and that's what I put my energy and my passion into. And when it comes to like taking care of people and what my vibe is, I think that's like I was saying before, it's a conscious choice to not be an asshole. Like, I really care about people. I really care if you are alright. Like, I really appreciated y'all for coming through.
Oh, that was great.
And doing that. You know what I mean? Like, you guys took time, you drove up there. It was a really big moment for me, you know what I mean? So it was like, I cared a lot. And if you're around me, I want you to feel good. I want you to feel involved. Like, you with your little brother, your big brother, or whichever brother you want to be with at the time. Like, I want you to feel like we vibing out on that level. And we all creative. We're all, you know, successful in our own, you know, world, whether it be, you know, business or family, or just the fact that we're all still here doing this. Yeah. And I'm very appreciative of all of that. Like, a lot of people take that stuff for granted, and they just move around, and they just, you know, they just think like this stuff just happens. I don't take that shit for granted, yo. I'm super duper appreciative. Like, I'm super gracious and just gratitude all the time. So that's what you get when you're around me, is like just all of that energy and just balled up in one.
Do you think the weed has anything to do with it?
Definitely. But I smoke weed. I smoke weed, a lot of weed, because of how I hear music.
I've definitely got a contact on you.
For real? Yes.
Right now.
Sweet.
Which I don't really smoke weed, but obviously I have. Mm-hmm. But I always found it made me like not. And weirdly now I'm not tired, but obviously I didn't hit the joint, but it would just put me to sleep. Yeah. Every time.
You gotta listen to music high, like just zone out on some music, bro. You ain't going to sleep. You'll be like, what the fuck? Like, just put some headphones on, like listen to a record. Or you don't even have to put the headphones on, like listen to an old record, bruh, high as fuck. Be like, wow, that's why I listen to weed. That's why I smoke a lot of weed. Good movie, but you can go fall asleep watching the movie. Right. A good movie will put you to sleep.
Good music will. Listening to a record, you hear all the layers.
Yeah, you hear everything. Yeah. Hell yeah. But the weed definitely helps. I love, you know, smoking pot all the time, but it takes a lot to recreationally smoke as much as I do. So I don't, like, you know, advise everybody to smoke.
Well, it's not. Well, you know, everybody has their levels. I mean, I know I have friends who smoke a lot of weed. I have friends who smoke weed every night. Yeah. I got friends who, you know, everybody's got their own.
Yeah, that's whatever your schedule is, your regimen.
And you work out?
Oh, yeah, every day. And I smoke.
Is it all training, all fighting, or is it also weights and stuff?
I do weights too. Okay, cool. Yeah, I lift weights and box and do hot yoga as well.
Oh, wow.
2 days a week. Yeah,
that's really good for you.
Yeah, hot yoga is the shit. I love that. That's my favorite one. Well, no, I think Muay Thai and boxing is my favorite. But the hot yoga, like, that's where I get to breathe and I think a lot while I'm in there. It's all quiet. Yeah, it really centers you, like, a lot. And it's tough, too. You see, like, some old ladies in there, gangster, dog.
Yeah. For real. They're going to live a long time. Mm-hmm. Yeah. That's the other thing I think about what we've been able to do and build lives doing, you know, having creative be the center of our life. Mm-hmm. I do think that we have a younger age, you know, like, or we're not aging as fast. Right. Because I do think that it puts you in a different state of mind most of the time. And I do think that stress is like the killer. And doing things like hot yoga, I will do every once in a while. It's really fucking hard.
It is.
And you gotta find the right, like, group of people. Yeah. Because if you're in some class with people you don't know.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's a little too personal.
Uh-huh.
What's up, man? Heard you got a little nervous, so you wanted to bring some backup.
You know, I just see that y'all got a couple guys there. You got a guy Conceited, he can rap it, man. He can rap.
What's up, baby?
But, you know, I can